Live from DPC, where we're going to be working on not only that, discussing this, future plans going on with that, what I'm going to do with that table and that little device right there, and more. So please settle in, and I shall sit down and wait for you all to show up. Just waiting for everybody. Just come on in. You hear my kids in the background just getting at it. Like playing Phasmophobia right now. Never really into those horror games. I mean, I am, but it's just like when I was younger, I enjoyed jump scares, but now I wonder if my heart starts again afterwards. You're like flipping a coin. Won't everyone mosey on in? And then we'll get started. Because I have a few updates on the MPCNC I'd like to get to. I think you guys would enjoy. So, we'll see who shows up on a Tuesday. Everyone's probably at work. They're like, son of a bitch. Supposed to be doing this after I'm off work. But, you know, I don't know what time zone you're in. So, this is Tobacco, YouTube. Since I'm sure you're censoring the crap out of me. Hey, everybody, come on in. Got some CNC stuff to show you. Got some cool stuff going on. I am building, well, actually right here in front of you is just a wooden ship. It's the Black Pearl. That's something I'm going to be doing. It's a beautiful walnut kit that has all the rigging you got to tie by hand. And like even the netting that goes up to the masts, you have to tie all those. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, takes you back to the Boy Scout days. And then it also took me back to when I was commercial diving and I had to learn rigging. It's like, shit. A ton of knots, man. Ton of knots. Come on, man. It is. It's a lot of work. But, you know, it's well worth it. It is well worth it. And there's many, many other projects. And I'm going to show them to you. And you'll kind of see, you know, what I'm doing. If you're not already subscribed. But if you aren't, please subscribe. Click that bell so you know when I do the spin up on the turbine. The completely 3D printed 170 millimeter turbine with a maximum RPM of about 32,000 RPMs and 55 pounds of thrust. With off-the-shelf components you can get off of Amazon. And a 3D printer. Well, that machine behind me there is an MPCNC. Built that using a 3D printer. And that was one of the things we were going to focus on today because we designed a fourth axis so that we could get that rotary action in. You know, I'm talking about the lathe. So we can do circular object. I was kind of wanting to show you how I have it set up. But we'll get to that. The first, what I'll do is I'll take around, I'll show you the turbine, and then I'll come back and check the chat if you have any questions about anything. So let's do that, shall we? First off, we're planting, getting ready for spring. This is the Jet 90 millimeter EDF that I basically did everything in Fusion. It's a water lander on the ground, on the dirt, mud, snow, whatever you want. That's why it's got a skid sitting on the rear. You know, that's a work in progress, but I had to move it for a second onto the MPCNC because the wife needed help. So this is what I was wanting to show everyone. We've got this axis right here working, and go, we're back. Unless you were seeing the whole time. This flies. The airfoil, everyone thought it wouldn't, but I mean, if you look at the top, definitely a thick wing root, goes straight into the body, and yeah, she's a different kind of beast. So yeah, but I gotta get some wiring, better wiring I'm putting up through there, and gotta button it up, and then I've got these lights I'm putting on. These are all I think they're helmet lights, to be honest with you, but they light up the wings pretty good. Plus that's glow-in-the-dark material for those wings. But this here we're getting set up because I kind of want to be able to CNC my own gears. So we built a fourth axis, basically. And it's working pretty well. Obviously, you'd mount it on the table, and then your cutter would do its work. So it will basically take place of the y-axis, or the x-axis, because my y-axis is this way, x-axis. And then what would happen was it would consider that x-axis as this rotary here. So if I'm doing gears for the fan, then that's basically how we want it to work. I can use this machine to make them instead of having China try and 3D print them again, because over here is the 3D printed version of the planetary system that didn't go as planned because their dimensional accuracy was off. So I redesigned the gearbox for the turbine, and that is the engine right there. That's the turbine. This is the motor that's pushed against Flip Sky and 6374, 190 kV, going to a 4-to-1 gear ratio step up. Waiting for the carbon fiber rods to get here so I can put them through the bearings and through this. And then this will index to the motor's shaft. Giggity. And then it'll get pushed by a 150 amp, 48 volt ESC, 270C packs for a target RPM of 32,000. These are the chains and rope that I use to keep everything in place, because if I don't, this thing, it will pull off the table. But I've got it on this sliding rig so that it can pull forward and pull the scale. Kind of a ghetto setup, but I don't have a load sensor yet. And that scale will give us a reading of the thrust. I started this project with the front drive fan, using that planetary gear system, which works well for 4-to-1. But the point was I wanted to have the system fit behind, after testing, of course, the whole system would fit behind the turbine at the rear and be indexed here and spin our fan for us. So that's what the whole idea behind that concept was. But because I didn't want to have to keep taking this on and off, I made a system for the front of the fan so that I could test the fan basically here, make sure everything was working with the gearbox, and then if it did, then what I would do was finalize it and then push it to the rear and then get the CG of the motor perfectly like it's supposed to. And that in turn, get out of here, fly. That in turn would be, would balance the system, and then I'd have an area for basically the ESC to sit. If you're using ductwork like this, you don't have to use ductwork like this, because you can take the whole fan unit when the motor and everything is attached to it, and you can place it in the plane you design for. You know, design a big Typhoon or an F-35, and then match up the bolt patterns and fiberglass your way into high-speed heaven here, you know? That's what we're talking about. Because at 55 pounds of thrust and the entire motor assembly, the entire assembly is basically close to 7 pounds. We'll overestimate. It's a little bit less than that, but you stay with 7 pounds, ESC, batteries, the whole works, and then you got a plane, maybe it weighs, I don't know, 6 pounds, another 7 pounds, let's say, just in the fiberglass and in your gear and all the other stuff. You don't need to include the batteries because that's already been included in the weight of the fan. You're well over a 3-to-1 ratio, which is better than any jet out there. Even the F-22 Raptor has a 1.17, I think. Thrust to weight ratio, empty, fully loaded, it's got a 0.86. So I think 3-to-1 is going to get you somewhere. And you don't have to go drop $8,000 on a Schubler motor. You can just use an $83 motor for a skateboard off of Amazon. $110 for the ESC, about $60 for those two batteries. $6 or $10 somewhere around that for a BEC, because that doesn't have a BEC on it. And then 3D printing material and one of those bearings, 6204s. And I'm going to make the whole kit and components, plus the EDF, or the files and everything like that, the STLs, available as soon as I confirm this spin up, which is coming up as soon as those carbon fiber rods get here, so I can attach my system that indexes to the fan, or it's a motor right here, into the shaft, and it has an index in it. So I chose these cullets. So all this stuff I got off of Amazon. So I use that. This will mount here. It has the screw holes, uses 4 millimeters basically. It indexes, this is an index shaft that indexes into the, I'm trying to do this one-handed here, into that, like so. Then the motor, I'm not going to force it, but motor slides in over like that with the collet on it, and then it bolts to the main frame here. So it keeps everything in the airflow, cooling down the motor, cooling down the gears. I went with the straight gear setup for CNC purposes because I didn't want to risk 3D printing this and having bad offsets again with metal. So I just went with straight gears and made a different planetary with bigger teeth, because what was happening was I was getting to about half throttle and I was stripping these out. They just couldn't take the torque from the Sun gear at 4-to-1. And I wanted to make sure that I had a motor that was powerful enough. Hey, how's it going? PXD, glad you're here. I didn't want, where was I? I needed a motor powerful enough to push it, but at the same time, the Sun gear on the original design was just getting torn up. And even I was hoping that they would have printed this perfectly so I could have used it. So I mean, it spins great, and this is the aluminum version, but I've had to, well, you know, if anyone's ever seated a valve into a cylinder head, you know what I've been going through trying to get these things to fit, to close the gap when I put these two halves together, because there's a gap, and that's in their machining. So it's just, I could reprint this box to fit it, but I still need to get the closing gap around the gears right. Once the closing gap is good and that thing closes, even if it doesn't fit in here, I'll go back into Fusion and cut 0.5 mils off of each one of those facets, and then I'll just print it back out again. put it on the front, and we'll spin it up with the metals and see what happens. So there is a workaround to that I'm working on, but right now we're just waiting for those carbon fiber rods to get in here. I've got the bearings all the way down, just about. And I got to put some PVC plugs here. Not PVC, good Lord, PETG. I'll print them out, put it right here. And then one of the other solutions is, I was just testing this, getting the wiring set up. So basically, I'll be able to CNC out my gears out of aluminum bar stock or any other steel bar stock. I'll use the right bit that I need for that. It'll go onto here. This will mount to the bed, takes up the Y-axis, or the X-axis, not the Y-axis. And then it'll go back and forth to do the CNCing of the gears. That won't help me with the inside, but, you know, I don't have a lathe, so you kind of have to work with what you got, you know. But this seems to be working fairly well. Fairly solid, fairly accurate. This is a piece of carbon fiber rod I put in between the two. And it has a chuck, just like any standard lathe, so on both ends. This was done on an older printer though, so I'm going to probably reprint the internals of this with the bamboo. And I've noticed that PETG is not only stronger, but it's less sticky. Shinier the surface, the less chance it's going to grab itself. But now I have the Interflon, so I'm going to be using that for the internals, so that it can slide a lot better. This stuff is great for that kind of stuff. And it doesn't eat away at anything, so that's a plus. But realistically, the idea was get this up there, on there. I'm going to have to get a different bit for it. That's fine. Get some aluminum 7075 bar stock, and then try and CNC these gears myself into their tolerances, or use these the way they are now, since they're aluminum, to put them on that, chuck them somehow inside there so I can CNC those out the way I need to. But lining up those tool paths is going to be hard with what we've already got here. So practicing on some regular bar stock will actually help get that there, because I have internals that have to be cut out, and you can only do that with a lathe, which I don't have. If I had a small lathe, like a desktop lathe, I could do it. But then you're faced with the problem of having to do this. And you could probably lathe that, but it's, a CNC is more, I'm looking at the Pocket NC as soon as I can find someone to buy my kidneys who are interested in rock gardens. But until then, we're just going to go with the straight, because if I have this CNC'd, then hopefully they'll be able to do it, because I send them this file to be CNC'd, and they're like, oh, we can't pull it up because they just didn't know how to translate it from their system to their camming software, so it would come out as no geometry. So I just redid it, redesigned it, and I'll probably go with a different company, because they just, and I mean, they're not really gonna fix that for me. It's like, it comes from China. The company was PCBWay. It took a month to get everything here, from ordering to arrival, and of course nothing fit. So yeah, and I think that was their laser sintering, I believe. So there's that. But other than that, this system will work just fine. This fan will go over here so we can play with it later. That'll be a fun fan. That one will actually go into the large Cuddy Black for weight mitigation. There's going to be 2 of them in there. And then I'm going to have motors on the front and back. The nacelles at the rear of the Cuddy Black are actually going to articulate, so it'll act just like in the game, in Star Citizen, if you ever played it. So yeah. And then the actually inside those nacelles is the turbofan. That's what's going to be pushing those. And so I have all this printed with the stators, and then I'm going to put my new cores in. Those will run on the 6C204 bearings as well. So I'll have 2 of those set up. I'll be pushing in with a 650 turbo at 22.2 volts, 2,000 milliamp packs per motor. And then 2 of these will be running off of these 4 batteries here, but because they move so much air, it gives you that weight mitigation of the entire system, the whole body and everything. So you have this sort of cosplay recreation of the Cutlass Black from Star Citizen, and it can fly around. Like, I mean, we're going to have the landing gear going out, the back door, the side doors open, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a long project, yes, but that's why I've been developing this engine. It's for multiple applications, up to and including a drone that I'm building, the Shrike XL, with 4 170 millimeter 22 blade high pass EDFs at 32,000 RPMs each and 55 pounds of thrust. That means that I could probably lift most of you with that drone. Not myself, though. I'm 6'4" and 300. So I'm not going to be lifted by much of anything except an excavator. So other than that, that's where we're at. So we're going to go back, sit down, talk about the project. I want to be able to answer some questions really quick. So give me a second. For those who might be interested in what it is I am doing. So let me go back over these right here. Okay, so yes, to answer Nobody, which that's a cool name actually. You almost can't say that wrong. Even if you get tongue-tied, you're saying it right. So, yeah, the plane does fly. It's just I'm waiting for some smaller components. My test components that I have on there was an Avian ESC. I don't like them too much because you overamp them like even by the slightest and they tend to just implode. So, I'm just going with a standard 120 amp ESC. Getting some better wire extensions because I was doing some testing earlier, and what ended up happening was one of the wires came loose and pulled right through the 90 millimeter fan and just ate it. So, but it didn't hurt the fan. Everything's fine on that. But yeah, that's gonna be a 120 millimeter fan, 7DC, 2200 milliamp LiPo for testing for now. And then I'll probably raise the size of the pack as I go on. The great part about 3D printing is even if you printed something too small, just go in with a hot knife and cut it out. And if it's a gyroidal infill, it doesn't matter. So it's just, you just make more room and then make the corrections in Fusion or whatever camming software that you're using. And then at that point you can, reprint it. But this being a prototype, there's going to be all kinds of different stuff. It's got the skids on the back, and those skids have old 3D printer roller wheels in them. So like basically it can go from like a hard surface to a skid surface or whatever. I've got the AMS TPU tires printed for it. They're a little bit more rigid than standard TPU, but that's another project. I was able to build a glider out of TPU. And I'm waiting for some carbon fiber rods for that to get here so I can finish putting the wing together. But the layer bonding on the AMS TPU is interesting because it's almost, you can't pull it apart. I could hit it with my finger all day long and my finger's not going through that wing. It's a little heavier than standard PLA, but I also have a bigger motor on it, also with a TPU prop, which will not break. because trust me, I've tried. If you watch any of the videos where I've tried to fly the FMS, Big Beautiful Doll, at 800 millimeters, and I'm not good with small planes. Big planes, yes. Small planes, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more demanding. Plus, it was a Warbird replica, so those are finicky anyway when you fly them. So, yeah. Anyway, I broke basically the entire plane, and the prop did not break. All right. Plastic from proto to, and is dangerous. What do you mean? You're talking about for the fan in Layden? I mean, I was waiting. 610, 500, 144, and no stop. Cool. Okay. To answer your question about the it being dangerous, if what you meant is the turbine being dangerous, being plastic, trust me, I have experience in that. I know it's dangerous. I've caught those things explode. I've blown them up a couple of times. But that was with PLA. PETG have had up to about 20,000 RPMs. Seems to work fine. Bamboo Lab PETG works really well. Overture PETG works very well. But you want to use a clear for the most part, if you can, because it's something about the additives for the pigmentation that will somehow weakens the layer bonding. I did do a black PETG for the casing, and I have red PETG for this fan, but that's because I want to test the limits of this pigment's layer bonding. The fan itself was actually printed at a much slower speed to promote that layer adhesion. And it also came out much cleaner. So I am using a Bamboo Lab X1 carbon, so it is a heated chamber, so that anything I print in there, if I leave it in there, it will anneal perfectly like it's supposed to. Some parts you're supposed to pull straight off, some you should let anneal. PETG, you should anneal it. Nylon 6 should be annealed. So leaving it in the heated chamber, let it come down from 43 slowly over the next a couple hours, just let it anneal, and then you get the flexibility out of there. It kind of relaxes the material internally, kind of like you do when you're annealing metal. Excuse me. But yeah, other than that, a lot of this has to do with materials testing. So I am going to go through different materials. I am going to go through PLAs, PETGs, nylon 6. Next up is going to be PEEK. PEEK sounds like it's pretty good as long as my printer can handle printing it. And even though it is an X1 carbon, I think it can go to 350C. I have to check. But PEEK would be really, really rigid material and is comparable in some cases to aluminum, but it's much stronger than nylon 6. The problem is, and always has been, that you've got 3 failure points in a planetary gear system. So the sun gear takes the brunt of the damage, but if it's strong enough and can distribute that load back to the planetaries, then they will fail if they're weaker than the sun gear. And if the planetaries and the sun gear are the same material, then the ring gear will fail. So if you made them all the same, that would be great, but then you'll end up finding the upper limit of that 3D printed material no matter what it is. Because I guarantee you, I know PEEK is really strong, and I'm told PEEK is really strong. It's really expensive, so I'm gonna have to save a little bit for it. But I'll bet you money I could find its failure point, especially with this first gearbox. Hi Mike, how you doing? Welcome. Join the 9 people that seem to find me interesting. So yeah, basically, the idea behind designing that other gearbox was bigger teeth, so when it's CNC'd, I mean, if it operates well, which I'm sure it will, even with the PETG gears, I think it'll work very well, obviously, very well when it's out, if it's CNC'd alloy. Plus the tolerances will be a little bit better. I did design it with the tolerances that I would need for CNC, but then therein lies the problem. It's the problem I had with PCBWay. Anybody who does CNC, anybody who works in a shop is going to know this as well. You're going from your machine where you designed your product or whatever it is you're going to cut. You know the constraints already of the machine before you go into it. So you design those tolerances in, you cam those tool paths out using whatever post-processor that you're using for whatever machine you have. Great. Now, you have to send off a file if you want to have a service do it, like say PCBWay, who did what I had over here. And the issue ended up being, of course, that they weren't willing to, which probably makes sense because they think I'm gonna like steal something from them or something. They didn't want to tell me what machine they were using. All they would do is give me a tolerance of plus or minus 0.3. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a wide gap. So what you're saying is it's laser censoring. But without knowing the machine, laser censoring will work for parts that you were able to mill or finish afterwards, especially if it's going to be something that holds a bearing or has to go into a bearing, so on and so forth. Or for my example, having teeth that have to mesh together. So in that instance, you would have thought their engineers would have went, okay, well maybe laser censoring isn't the best for this. Let's tell the customer, let's do this and see what happens. Go from there. This is what I think will be more dimensionally accurate. Because if it fits in the CAD file, if I put, I'm telling you, if I could afford a Pocket CNC or something, or I think it's Pocket NC, I really want to get one because I want to actually test, the limits of what it can do. I designed that fan to come apart. I designed it as a hub with removable fins. So for the purpose of CNC, and I even set the tolerance as 0.05, which is really on the high end, but I can always adjust that if I need to. Because we go back into the Fusion file, alter the cutting tool that I did in the timeline, and then go, okay, my machine says it'll handle a 0.2 tolerance, then I'll set it at 0.2. But there's always finishing and honing and things like that and fitting, especially when it comes to turbine blades. But being able to CNC my own gears out of this stuff, some good aluminum or even steel, I think would be beneficial. So, just reading chat. Evening, Buck. Welcome, welcome. If anybody missed any of the exciting stuff, you can always go back and look. But if not, I'll walk you through again and show you what I've been doing. Back to my point at PCBWay is the problem with sending out your work to be CNC'd for you or to be machined for you or printed for you is you don't know the constraints of whatever equipment that they're using. you're not familiar with the offsets because you haven't used the machine. So it's really hard. Anybody who works in a shop that goes from creation to production is they know their machines, they know their workflow from the CAD software, the camming software to the machine. So it's easy to design what it is that they need, and if there's any small tolerance variations, they've already accounted for that. The guy running the machine knows that. The guy that's bringing over the work knows that. Camming it over knows that. They communicate. The problem I had with that, with MPC or not, we'll talk about the MPCNC in a little bit. The problem I had with that with PCBWay is that all they would tell me was it was within, plus or minus 0.3 millimeters, and I'm like, that's a huge gap, man. We're talking about precision here. That I'm precision gears. You're telling me I've got 0.6 millimeters that I have to basically cross my fingers on. So I'm like, why didn't the engineers go, okay, let's do this. He's paying for it. Let's CNC it. And if it costs a little bit more, tell the customer. If he's willing to go that route, go for it. But they couldn't CNC them for. If I had a desktop like jeweler's lathe and mill combo, I could probably have these knocked out myself, But that was the idea behind the Pocket NC. I think I could probably make those smaller planetary system that I had with more teeth in it and the interlocking teeth. I think it would have been better to just do it at home, do it here as soon as I can get one of those. And that'll kind of push this project to another level, because I'll be in-house making the fans, in-house making the gears, in-house making the drive shafts and the indexes, all that other stuff, out of high-grade material, because I'm not going to do that as cheap stuff. I'll get the best aluminum, even mild steels and things like that. Whatever that Pocket NC can cut, I'm going to try and use it to cut it. And I'm going to try and get one with the swappable collets so that you can just set your tool depth. Everything's programmed in. I just pop in that tool when it tells me to, and then move along with CNCing everything. But that's pretty much been the bottleneck as far as getting the engine complete. Again, those carbon fiber rods are going to show up any day, and I'm going to cut them, fit them, and send, put this thing together, and we're going to spin up this turbine. And the one of the biggest issues I was running into was I want to keep this to the point where I can give people STL files and a components list, and they can do this. They can go, I want to make an engine for a plane. I'm not going to push it to 32,000 RPM. Well, good, great. You don't have to push it to 32,000, and that's a theoretical max, 90% throttle range. That's just to show that the fan has the power. So even at half throttle, you're going to be flying, and you're going to be airborne, depending on your airfoil. And so whether you build one of these engines or two of them for a large-scale jet, or two of them for a large-scale loitering glider, that you make out of foam or whatever, you can use this engine in multiple applications. And I would love to scale it down at one point. That thumping you're hearing is kids playing Phasmophobia, sorry. You can scale it down but there's already 70 millimeter EFs and 120s and stuff like that. Those I don't think I could build cheaper than most that are coming out of China by the container ships full. So that's why I went with the larger fan. It's like, okay, what's the biggest fan that's out there that you can get, and you're talking like maybe 150, maybe I think maybe two. I don't know what the biggest engine, EDF engine that Schuler puts out is, but like they're 150. But you're dropping $5,000 or more on those engines. Even if you wanted the JP Hobby 120, you're still gonna pay $800 for a pair if you wanted to do like a Warthog or something like that with two, I think 120 millimeter, maybe, I think, or 100. I could be wrong, but and then you've got their ESCs and stuff you got to deal with. By the time you're into it, you're talking, $3-4 grand, stuff like that. I didn't want people to have to get stuck in that rut. I want to build a big plane that has a big engine, a big turbine. So I designed one that you can do it with. And then you can readily get everything off of Amazon to assemble it. You can 3D print it yourself. You can get the stuff off Amazon. You can assemble it. You put it through some test runs to make sure everything's good. Put it in the plane and take off. Or do what I'm doing and make a drone out of 4 of those. That's the Shrike XL. Don't forget to check out the Shrike playlist. It's entertaining from beginning to end. Watching me fumble around like a fool. Until I got to... I was inconveniencing the motorcycle by filming. But when I got the V10 finally to fly, that was good. Problem was, I wish I still had the V10, but because I was, because I'm poor, basically, I had to, when I started the Javelin project, which was sort of a tail-sitter VTOL drone to jet amalgamation, I had to use the ESCs and I had to use everything off of the Shrike and then put it on the Javelin, because it's like, even if you're ordering 470 millimeters off of Amazon, you're still paying, $300. So the ESCs cost me $300 because I needed to move from digital to D-Shot. Because I was running a power distribution board was like $80, but they don't sell them anymore to people like us, I guess. So they're stuck on, well, we're not doing the hobbyist thing. We're going to be doing commercial stuff, so we're not going to supply the hobbyist market. And I thought to myself, whatever, DJI. It's like they're trying to basically pull everything together and, cut out it. I'm like, why? And I even asked them, I emailed a couple of the people up at the top, and I had conversations with them about it. And this is APD, Advanced Power Drives. Good company, great stuff, but they want to go with the more commercial market for them. They want to do commercial contracts, things like that. So it's like, what do? You get stuck. Oops, sorry. You get stuck in a situation. It's a rock star. I didn't call you poor. I said, I'm poor. I'm always poor. The only reason why this stuff gets done is because of subscribers, because of viewers that contribute via my Patreon or the Buy Me a Coffee link, because they want to see me finish this thing as much as I want to finish it and get it out there. And I'm not selling a product. I'm doing something for the hobbyist community, as a whole. So you'll have STL files. You'll have like the components list. You'll see the videos where I basically build it from parts to turbine, and that's the whole idea, is to give back to that community that's supported me so much. Even by subscribing to me or sharing it to someone who subscribed, you're helping me. And that kind of support is eventually going to get me to the point where, to be quite frank, I'll eventually be monetized. Because I'm not yet. And that's going to help. That's going to help buy the filaments. That's going to help buy the components. That's going to help buy everything. It's going to go straight back into me building more stuff for you guys. So that's the whole deal. That's why I'm doing it. When I mentioned I'm poor, I mean, it's because I could, by myself, I couldn't do this. I couldn't buy the printer. My brother went and got a personal loan for that. You know, and that was $2,300, but I needed to be able to print fast and reliably, and the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon has been phenomenal. I'm 2,500 hours in, and I'm only on my third hot end. So, and the first one was sort of a user error when I had to pull the extruder because I set something up wrong and the bed temperature got too hot, and the chamber got really, really hot because of it. And it ended up softening up the material so much that it just clogged the extruder. So I just pulled that out. And other than that, I haven't had any real issues with the X1 Carbon. There was one issue where the plug, because when I was unplugging the fan and the hot end and everything from this little PCB board that sits off to the side of the extruder in the head, what was happening was the pin, one of the solder joints came loose. The plug itself came loose. And it was because I removed the silicone glue, but I didn't remove all the silicone glue. So when I pulled the plug, the pin came off. But all you had to do is, it was a cheap piece, ordered the PCB, took it off the old one off the head, screwed the other one on there, plugged everything back in, back to normal that quick. I had a problem one time with the cutter because of the plastic cutter piece had somehow broke where it screwed into. $9 later, I had it fixed. It's literally the lowest maintenance printer that I've ever used in my life. I've never had a problem with the AMS ever since I've had the printer. And they say don't use cardboard. I can speak English, I promise. The gummy's telling you I can't. I'm telling you I can. The cardboard spools, they tell you not to use in there. And the reason why is because they don't want the cardboard particles to clog the wheels, the rubber bushing covered wheels that rotate inside the AMS to move the spool. I have found that as long as it's a quality cardboard, like you get in an Overture Overture filament roll, I don't have issues with it. I did notice the cardboard particles on the rubber rollers, but you just wipe them off and clean it. Other than that, never had any problems with the AMS. It never jams, it never breaks, it never loses, filament. I haven't had to do, it's the best. I either got lucky or they're just building quality stuff. Hardened steel hot ends, hardened steel extruders, you can run temperatures really, really high. I'm printing nylon 6. Like it was butter. It's amazing. Can't ask for a better printer, especially if you're going to start really getting into it. It's an investment in the beginning, yes, because when my brother ordered it, he ended up ordering the printer, the AMS, and probably like 25 rolls of filament, just different types for me to get into. And and he also ordered extra parts from the very beginning, so a couple extra hot ends. I have a 06, a 02, a 08, a 04, basically everything. Extra filament cutters, stuff like that, just to kind of get me started, so that if I did get started and something were to happen to it, I'd have the parts to replace it. And I've had I think one thermistor go out on me one time on this printer through the times that I changed the extruder or the changed the hot end the 3 times. And 2,500 hours in, I've done, you know, the lead screw maintenance on the printer. I haven't even wiped down the carbon fiber rods that sit up at the top because I have the glass on the top. I know, but they're talking about the fumes and the sediment from the actual printing process that might get on those rods and cause them to gum up or whatever. Still no issues. Never had to tighten a belt, never had to change a belt. Nothing. The Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon is probably, and they're not affiliated with me, they're not paying me to say this. This is my experience with the printer. If you're gonna get a printer that you're like, okay, I never have to bed level again. Never, thank God, have to bed level again. That's the printer for you, right there. You plug it in, load it up, get it set up and ready to go. Follow the instructions to the letter when you're setting it up so you don't miss a screw or anything like that when you're unpacking it and getting it ready. Do it, let it go through the printer calibration, load your filament in there, and that's it, man. Set it and go. Bamboo Studio, great program, works great. Live camera view right on your screen while you're printing. It's just the best FDM printer I have had a chance to use. Could there be better ones out there? Yeah, sure. Hi and welcome. But yeah, it's basically the best printer I've ever used. Now, where do I go from here? I thought laser 3D printing. I thought get some kind of laser sintering and stuff like that. But I'm like, you know what? Realistically, if I'm gonna use alloy, get something that's gonna cut alloy. I don't want to print it. Realistically, because I'd have to finish most of it with the CNC anyway. So it's best just to have a CNC. So what do you do? What kind of CNC do you get that's within a price range that's affordable? Well, that's kind of a hard question for me because affordable is, you know, kind of a relative term, I guess. For most people nowadays, I'm not in the workforce because I'm on vet benefits. So I don't know what everybody's making an hour, for the most part. If you're going to decide to make a purchase for a piece of equipment, or a car or a quad or whatever, it might be easy nowadays for people to say, okay, yeah, I can drop 11 grand on this and get the printer, get it set up, get to work. So if that's an acceptable price range nowadays for most people, then, you know, I can see it working. It's a stretch for me to make that kind of purchase, a long stretch. So it's one of those things I'm gonna have to work at, trying to build up my credit so I can use it. Never used my credit because I was in the military. Didn't have a chance to use it. So I've had people offer me credit cards. I got one, a couple, you know, but they're just small, not even close to what I need for that, you know. Because you'd be surprised at how bad your credit looks when you don't ever use it. So, because it's not like I have bad credit because I did bad things with my credit early on. It's more or less, it's like, it was almost like the credit companies were like, oh, fine, you don't want to use us? Here goes your score. I think they got butthurt, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. Basically, it's just about that. I think I've decided that the Pocket NC is the way I'm gonna go. How I'm gonna do it, I don't know, but I'm gonna try. You know, I've got another VA appointment. They want to probably raise my rating. They service connected my ears for 0. I don't know how you do that. You have ear damage. Your ears are damaged because of your service for the military. You have overwhelming tinnitus constantly, forever, for the rest of your life. That's why I have to wear. I don't know if you can see them right there, both ears, and they constantly shoot megahertz. You know, certain wavelengths into my ear. It kind of sounds like high frequency pitched ocean waves that are kind of slow, and it drowns out the tinnitus to the point where I'm never in silence, so I don't have to endure that as much. It sucks when the batteries die and I run out, but other than that, they work pretty good at bringing down the stress level. You know, anyway, the point is, if the rating goes up, then maybe I'll get some back pay out of it, considering when they service connected it. And then I'll pick up that Pocket NC, put it in the shop. That may be my way in, right, to getting into that. It's the only way I can see, because all my money now goes to bills. And I know we're all feeling that right now. And then we need to find whoever is in charge of the chicken mafia, because these eggs have got to come back down. Can you imagine that? It's like civil war over eggs. You know? First it was tea, now it's eggs. So it's just like a cinematic movie almost. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Making this dystopian desert covered earth, people wearing cut up tires like in Mad Max for armor, and they're telling their newborn children they're all scraggly and dirty. You know, like because they were born in a wasteland. This all started over eggs. I'll never forget it. You know, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, that to me, it's ridiculous. I feel like, you ever feel like you're just arranging deck chairs on the Titanic? Like realistically, I'm doing all this for a future that I'm not even certain is going to be there. But so focus all my energy on the research, get everything done, upsize it, and then just watch everything from orbit. And just sitting there eating like a power bar. Oh look, Australia's on fire. Oh, there goes China. Boom, boom, boom. You know, that kind of thing. It'd be kind of fun, actually. Of course, if there was any, I'd probably try to stream it from space. That's what would happen. I would stream it from space. I'd be like, where's that one going? Looks like Honolulu. Popcorn! Yeah, that's how it would be. I'd be up there with my family on the ship. I'd be like, we'll just wait until it's done, land in a safe spot. Just take over the world. I know some people might think it's stupid. They'd be like, oh, you know what? It's not funny joking about World War III. I say, well, shit. If you can't laugh in a burning house, what kind of joy you got in your life? I say, be happy. No matter what shit pile you're climbing out of. Do it with a smile. Just make sure your head's above it first. Anyway, let's do a roundabout real quick, huh? Black Pearl model. Still working on it. Yes, I tried painting. Have to do the rigging. That's going to be fun. This is starting to look pretty good. I already did one full side. And she is already weathered to the degree that I want it before I start putting on the other elements. So I'm working on that other side right now. And then we'll get started on the detail work. All that detail work out of that beautiful walnut they got right there. And let's see, where are they? They're here, I promise. It's for the deck railing, stuff like that. And I know what you're going to say. Show them the box. Hi, how you doing? How is everyone? I could have sworn your name said Angel last time, not an Angel. I don't know where I got the confusion for that. But. All right, here's the goodie box. This is the stuff, the hardware that came with it. There's a lot of stuff here, including the brass for the rear deck and all of the posts and everything and rails. All that has to be heated up after being soaked and then bent so it can be put on the model. It's a lot of detail work. I've got the golden lady at the front of the ship, and it's got these awesome anchors. This is some like really cool detail. And then the rear plate that goes on the rear above the captain's cabin. All the small barrels and everything, all the rigging, the exterior cannons, interior cannons, which I have to build the walnut. They have all the walnut pieces for that and the wheels. These are for the side of the ship, and since the back end won't be seen, so it just kind of sets into the holes in the side. More tackle for the rigging. Supports for the rear cabin at the bottom. There's the bell right there, so you can kind of see the detail work in here. Oh yeah, they got the two with the Poseidons. This is for the rear of the ship right here. Sorry, my hot finger's in the way. I'm trying to do two things at once. And you've got some other detail pieces. These are the rear lights. They go on the back. A whole bunch of brass pins for the doors, for the cannons on the side. And these right here, I have the wiring run for them here already. And then down through the bottom of the keel, so that I can actually hook them up to a power supply. So that's where we're at right now. I'm finishing up the exterior walnut. Then I'm going to treat it like I treated the other. Started treating the rear deck, trying to get some of the wear patterns in. And then we'll get to this part, the cabin, after we're done with that part. I'm wondering, that's what she should look like when she's done. So, has all the sails, beautiful cloth sails, beautiful rope for the rigging. It's already spun. That's a bong. Let's see. Let me make sure I close this all the way, right? Don't want to lose all those little pieces. Alright. Hang her back up here. Okay. Let's bring the table up a little bit. This is if I'm sitting too long, you know. And I'll bring this thing up. So that's basically the Black Pearl project I'm doing. And then, Colt, you gotta go outside, buddy. Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on, let's go. Ready? There you go, buddy. Get out of here, you little chihuahua. Nobody likes you. All right. Okay, so that's the Pearl. This is the 90mm EDF. Basically, TPU wheels are already on. I'm just waiting for, like I said, the 120 that I want to put in there, because this Avian, I know it's going to explode if I put it in there. I don't trust it. So it's just for testing. And then I've got most of my servos already done. All my control surfaces have their servos. Everything's ready to go. And yeah, there you go. It does have enough power to stay vertical, because I've basically held it up and ran it to about 3/4 throttle and held the nose, and it kept its own weight up. So it does go vertical. And then the prized jewel of all of my creations. Stubby fan version 5, rear drive, 4:1 step-up ratio, 6374 flip sky motor, 190 kilovolts, 48 volts for a total of 32,000, actually, theoretically 36,000, 32,000 RPMs. It's becoming spring, so we'll have plenty of flies to simulate bird strikes. It's going to get messy. Do want a better logo, though. I get like one of those neon signs, yeah, and then kind of finish up the shop. I'm not done. It's like I just wanted to start work before I got finished. There's a lot of accents I want to put up, you know, and some decor, you know. This table was donated for my use in the box by a friend of mine who is building a shop, who is making a space for me, because I am building a quad out of these. Yes, you heard me correctly. A quad that you ride. These engines will be about 3 times the size. That pocket NC I was talking about was for this purpose. Right here I hubbed it. Made sure you could take the blades in and out. So that we could basically, you know, CNC this. CNC that. CNC that. CNC the main shaft here. Yeah. And you can get away with having these printed even with the rest CNC material. It just, you know, it's easier that way. As I struggle to put it back on. No, this is just my test rig. That's what that cowling's for. You're not going to be using that on most of your projects. It's just going to be that internal fan, motor, all that stuff put together. That's how it would come if I were to build it for you. But let's sign a waiver for that one. But we do have our rotary axis working. So that is something I'm quite excited about for the MPCNC, because that was a major hurdle for me to get ready, because when I cam out Fusion, I want to be able to, because I have a post processor from Fusion for this. I have to update it because, seriously? You're going to interrupt me? All right, fine. Grow thumbs. It'd be a lot easier if you just grew thumbs. Good Lord. So, hold on one second. Okay. So, the idea is I'll be able to do some, not all, of my rotary work on any pieces I need to turn down or have specific pieces that need slotting and things like that. So, but it works. I want to reprint the insides of these, but I got it to work. And it'll bolt right to the table. So then you would just line up the end of your tool at the beginning of the tool path. The tool path would be cammed out flat on the x-axis. So what would happen was be the x-axis, this being the x-axis. As you use it, as it's going back and forth to do that x-axis, you've designed it on a cylinder, but you've basically laid that tool path out flat. So it'll still go on the y-axis like it's supposed to, but the x-axis this way will make it to where you can go rotary. So, like a lathe, sort of, only slower. We miss you, Stubby version 1. You were a trooper. You went too soon. But we'll build another one. Direct drive with an internal low pressure turbine system for the purposes of the afterburner. This is just an EDF version. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. That's like the update for now. Just carbon fiber rods, guys. That's it. Everything else is here. Just the rods. And then they'll be here. They're saying like the 22nd, which sucks. Because some of the stuff you can get from Amazon next day, but some you can't. Some just because it's coming from China. We all know that. So it'll get mailed to me. I had them ordered the first time, but they got the order wrong. So they had to fix my order. Where are you? Yeah. They gave me these instead. 1x400. I can use them for something. I mean, I'll always be able to use this kind of stuff for other projects. But yeah. I mean, that's all I'm waiting for. This has all been redesigned and reinforced. I had an earlier version of this I wasn't so confident in after realizing how much torque it was going to endure. As you can see, these parts here were not reinforced along the inside. They were 4mm, my bad, instead of the 5 I needed. So what I did was I had originally had legs out like this so that I could use the 4mm, and this would take up the gap between the 4mm and the 5mm. But it was only one wall thickness, so it just snaps right off. So I just went and redesigned it. I just made the whole support structure 5mm. I don't know why I even chose 4mm to begin with. I think it's because I was stuck on the fact I was using 4mm screws, so it was in my head at the time when I was planning my purchases. But and I printed on the Bamboo Lab X1 carbide. I printed one of these containers. It's a container for your desk. The coolest thing, man. This is out of the I think they call it gunmetal. Not gunmetal, but it's a damn, I forgot what it's called. It was one of their silk metals for Bamboo Lab. But it came out perfect. I like it. I want to do one in red. But the silk as well. Or maybe a flat red. Put some white lettering on the side, GPC, since you can do that tool changing. The AMS will go from one printer or from one spool to the next as it changes. The tool changes do produce some waste, but in the future I'll have something to recover all that waste and then extrude it back into, I don't care if it's just gray material for prototyping. But, waste not, want not. This is the rubber plane. It's a glider. I got the wing. The main wing. Hasn't been fully assembled yet because I got to have 4mm rods for that. But yeah, these are cool. This is what I was trying to tell everybody about. These right here. This is TPU. Look how rigid it is, though. Super rigid. So, I mean, it's like you're not breaking it. And you're going to get that organic airfoil. Right? Natural dihedral. But yeah, a 4mm rod goes through all of it. And then that'll stiffen it up. And then I'm going to have the organic flame part. This is the cool part. And I showed you this before. Oh, I didn't charge that battery. Otherwise, I'll show you. You know, I just show it this way. Anyway, the whole body's TPU. It's all TPU. The whole thing. But rigid. But the prop has tons of pull. Right? It's TPU. AMS TPU. You're not breaking the prop. You're not going to break it. You just won't. But it's rigid enough to pull hard. I mean, I'll show you. Hold on. I got my stand over here. So that I can set this down long enough for me to hook this up so I can show you. This will be hanging out the bottom, so, you know, don't judge. That right there. I gotta get some servos for this. This was also not designed for a battery pack this size. It was just something I decided to add in Fusion so that I could put whatever size, you know, the 4S packs in, like that. All right, that's cool. All right, switch warnings, no. All right. Plenty of pulling power, right? Let's see if I can show you this. One. Woo-hoo-hoo! Okay, I lost one. Finally. But you see how, you know how you land and nose in sometimes at the park? But and on some of the smaller fans or the smaller planes, what'll happen is you'll nose in and that'll happen. You'll snap it off because it's plastic. This thing has gone through so much. So much. I'm surprised it finally gave. But look at how small. Look at how small that piece is holding on. Super small. And it went through all that. And look at the rest of this. Still good to go. It'll probably still fly. Might vibrate a little bit. Telling you, that AMS TPU, good stuff. Good strong body. I gotta re-glue that on there because I haven't put the carbon fiber spar in there yet. See? For TPU, you can't beat it for TPU. You know? It still flexes, but it's rigid enough for air. I love this stuff. I'm gonna order like 5 rolls. Just because it's versatile, you know? Versatile and strong. I mean, that was the extremes. That was the total extremes of what you're gonna put a plane through like this. Any other PLA plane, first time I would have done that, prop would have been gone, all blades, right?
body would have been just shattered. Me doing that. I mean, come on. AMS TPU is where it's at. Yeah, I'm willing to break some stuff to show you. But see, I tore this right here. But I guarantee you I won't be able to pull it off. And you could just pop some CA on there. You'd be fine to go. But look at that. That's where it breaks right there. But these are single wall prints. Single wall. But super just... you know what I mean? So yeah, there's your test of failure. I mean, if you're crashing like that with one of these in any other plane, you're done the first time down. If you watched P-51, yeah, the P-51. That's what happened to the P-51, and the prop didn't break. It didn't break until just now when you heard it hit the garage door. Because I'd been testing it on a couple of different lives like that over and over again. So yeah, I put through some stress. Yeah, that was fun. What else can we do today? I can hang that back up. Anybody interested in buying one of these? Thought I'd use it, but I'm not. Got a whole kit. It's got the detector. It's got the earphones, the lapel thing for the wireless. Completely waterproof. So yeah, I want to sell that. Because I want to take the money and put it right back into all this stuff right here. Because I thought I was going to be able to get out. I have found I'm happier in here. So, yeah, let's go back over this direction. And down with you, table. I am lazy and must sit. Hold on, I'm trying to read the... Hey, Sags, what's up? I'll catch up on... I gotta catch up on the chat. Hold on. Nobody go anywhere. Did you sit up there right? Okay. Hold on, I must ensure that I am pretty. Okay, we're good. I know. You guys are like, this dude's on something. You know what it is? Joy. No, that's not my wife's name. I'm happy. You're gonna keep your happiness. If you don't have a lot, be happy with what you got. That's what I am. So I work with what I got until I get more, so I can bring you guys more stuff. Just stay happy. Hold on a second. Okay, Sags, got a question for you. Have I been entertaining so far? Yeah. I'm like taking a sample right now. Have I been entertaining? Answer me, Sags. I shall send in the hounds. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh yeah, because Buck said, don't worry, be happy. At least he can hear me.
I'm waiting for somebody to jump in and troll. That's usually when I have the most fun. Because I just ignore them. Oh yeah, do you like the fly video? Damn, dude. It's like summer comes along and all of a sudden the flies, they're just all waiting in the grass or something, you know? Like, just wait until it's warm enough, guys, and then the attack is on. Then the attack is on. And they're like just fucking relentless, you know? You know, I would bring out my other fly killer, but I don't want a bunch of 9mm holes in my walls. So I had a like an electric one where you just swing and you'd hear it and you know, but those are for mosquitoes, and flies tend to have a lot more juice in them. When you blow them up midair, you know. It's like walking through a freaking field of tomato cannons. You know? You're like, oh, God. I'm telling you. No, I get worse, man. I'm surrounded by orchards. I got those big old, and then freaking people with horses. We're talking. Sometimes I'll get flies in here, dude. I gotta clear for a freaking landing. I'm not even kidding. Like a big old fly coming, he's big as my freaking thumb. He just comes in, comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you mind if I sit here? Looks like there's some food on your table right there. Can I have some?" You know. And then he's all, you know, just like, "Okay, thanks a lot." Yeah. Gnats or fruit flies are the worst. They are the worst, man. That's why you gotta get a freaking flamethrower. Like, we're going outside, hold on. You know, freaking crazy. I guess it's my fault for living out here in the suburb of suburbs. Well, and I want to move farther out, man. I want to be like up in the rolling foothills where those outcroppings of those quartz veins are coming out of the ground. You know, found some land I wish I could get. Man, it's like it's right where you want to be for me to actually use that freaking metal detector. Start mining, right? Wife would be like, "Come in for dinner." It's like, he's down in the shaft about 900 feet. He's trying to dig out a rock. He'll be up in a little bit. Yeah, I want those days. I want those days when I, you know, go out, sit on the porch, have some coffee, you know, take a drag off the pipe, have my rifle out there, kill a small helpless animal at 300 yards with iron sights, just to see if I can do it. Just a squirrel minding his own business. Pink fur. You know, and just take a sip of my coffee. Ah, there you go. That's the life right there. You know, kick my feet up, hope that my back doesn't go out doing it. That's the kind of life you want right there. That's your wife sitting on the other side telling you to shut up every 5 minutes. Tell you you're thinking too loud. No, my wife's really supportive of everything I do. She just, like, I'll be, Sags, you know how it is with ADHDers, man. I'm telling you. I get to bed after doing this all day long. You know, snuggle up to the wife, get ready to go to sleep. I'm like, "Can I tell you about a project I'm working on?" She's like, "Son of a bitch!" You know, she doesn't curse. I'm just like, I imagine what she's thinking. So she'll pretend she's listened for a little while. When she stops responding, I realize she fell asleep. And I don't know when. So now I gotta start back over. Make sure you got it all. So she's like, what are you waking me up for, man? We're asleep. I didn't finish my sentence. I don't know where you drifted off at. Like, what are you doing sleeping? It's bedtime. We're supposed to be thinking about stuff. That's how it works, though. I have to go to sleep with a freaking physics book in my ear just because this stuff's so interesting to me that I fall asleep easier. I don't know why. But, you know, that's the way it is. I enjoy it. See, I started talking about me, now I'm down to 5 viewers. I'm sorry, I don't have a nice cleavage. It's just, this is real people talking, you know? I ain't here to react to a video that's already on the internet in a skin tight shirt. You know, I said this before. There's people that do that all the time out there. My kids used to watch her. And I'll say it again. The only thing she had going for her, she had 5 airbags. She was sitting on 2. 2 were hanging off the front of her, and 1 was on the top of her neck. That's all there was to her. I'm telling you, there wasn't shit there behind those eyes. I don't want to insult the poor girl. It ain't my fault or her fault. She's not all. I have no idea. I don't know what her situation is. All I know is you gotta call out stupid when stupid is stupid. Okay, and I don't want to be mean to her. I'm not calling her dumb, but I'm calling her dumb. And if that's what it takes to get views, then most of society who haven't subscribed to me or haven't followed me or haven't said, you know, this is cool, you're right, then I guess I'm just weeding them all out, right? Because you guys are the good people. You guys are the people who are like, we've got brains. We don't want to sit and watch somebody react to a video that's already on the damn internet. All you're doing is giving that person your time. Probably for a video you've already seen before. And most people do it just because it's a girl, you know? It's just it's a sick world. That's all they want. It's like, what is wrong with you people? Turbines are better than girls. We're men. We remain boys forever. We want to play with toys. We'll get to the women later. When we need them. Until then, we want to play with our toys. So if I'm underneath a car changing something, putting on a muffler system to make it louder, that's what I'm doing. I'll do it all day long. Just for fun. And that's why I do all of this. I want to entertain you guys. I want to bring this new fan to everybody. I want everybody to have fun. That is the point. So you better be having fun. I'm playing. I'm not a violent individual on purpose. I'm not violent at all, actually. I avoid confrontation until it finds me, and then I settle it. Nobody wants to fight like men anymore, though. You know, every time somebody walks up to you, you gotta worry about them having like a knife or a gun or something. But I'm not worried. Nobody's been able to kill me yet. That's all there is to it. My God protects me. I'll tell you what, this world is fallen far away from him. And all these friggin' Grammys and stuff going on. You see these people walking in meat dresses, you know, giving thanks to God. You don't even know God. And I don't want to judge, but your actions will speak for you. So that's all I'm saying. There's gonna be hell's gonna be full of beautiful voices and good men. Because everyone's a good man when they die. That's all I'm saying about it. Anyway, back to the fun stuff. I've run out of fun stuff to show you. All the other fun stuff, I don't think YouTube wants me to show you. So, we have to do that on Discord. So make sure if you were here for the first time or have been here for the first time, or if you are gone and it doesn't matter because you won't hear this, join the Discord. And then we'll do other experiments. Because I have another experiment I will be starting regarding bioluminescent Pinellus icticus, where I'm going to be cultivating a bioluminescent fungi. And then once the mycelium and everything is growing and I transplant it to or inoculate the hardwood with it, then I will basically use CRISPR-Cas9. I will cut the genes I need and edit the genes in an orchid because they grow in the same environment. So the ability to impart the bioluminescence to the orchid is my goal. And the great thing about it is, have you seen that? They call it the Holy Ghost orchid. It's basically looks like a monk, like in a robe, when it hasn't bloomed. And when it does, it looks like a dove. It's like the most beautiful orchid I think I've ever seen in my life. But I am going to impart bioluminescence through genetic modification to that. And I have all this stuff for it. I just have to, I gotta set it up. And I'm waiting for the spores to get here. So that's gonna be a fun project. I know it's not a 3D printed turbine, but it's gonna be fun. Who doesn't like bioluminescent organic life? Freaking flies, man. Oh, you don't want to land now, do you? Do you, fucker? No. You just want to buzz around, because I'm armed now. Come on. Take a chance. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm only going to take a little bite. See? Hold this up. And they're gone. Every damn time. I set it down. There's one right there. See, as soon as I set it down, he landed right there. Sorry. Hearing aid pain. Oh, back up to 6 people. Hold your breath, people. That might be interesting. Let's hope to God that's not the case. You know, there's people on YouTube right now going, you know what? Once he becomes interesting, we're going to have to recognize it. What should we do? We'll shadow ban him. That's what tends to happen. You know, I put out a short and I get like 3 views on it. You know, people are you know, put out a funny short or a cool short about what I'm working on. You got 220 views. You did really good. YouTube has this way of congratulating you for failing. But if I go and do something stupid like light my hair on fire, so I'll get 21 million views the next day. I mean, the world, there is no shortage on stupid. Why do we have to sit here and play stupid games? You know, just to try and get views. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I mean, granted, I did hold one of the turbines while I was pushing it to full throttle to blow the flag around the shop. And, fly. And that was a little bit crazy because it sucked my shirt in through the back. My fan tried to eat me. That was fun though. Man. Oh, I'm getting old. And I don't like it. Sometimes pain feels good enough to let you know you're alive. You know what? You don't always have to feel good. You just have to enjoy what you got. Oh, my back, guys. Come on. Pop that thing around. So what has everybody else been up to this week? Anything fun? I see everyone is silent in the chat. You're either shaking your head at me or laughing your ass off. Either way, I've done my job. Come on now. Let's get some celebration here. Work, you piece of crap. There we go. Does that work? Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Join in the fun. Everyone's like, we're just gonna go about our day. We'll leave it on. Make him think we still like him. Yes, I do various impressions. None that interest anyone. Tell you what, I am not thankful for the spring because of the flies, but I will tell you, it's not freezing out here anymore in the shop. So, that's a good thing. At least we know my grapes are comfortable. No one's saying anything. What, they cut me off or something? YouTube went, he's too funny and politically correct. We need to stop this shit immediately. Flick. Nah, they ain't gonna push my stuff. Which might save my life in the future when I show some of the other stuff. Because anytime you decide to develop a different type of energy source, the oil industry goes, what'd he make? Keefy D, get him. Oh man, I'm telling you. Eating dinner. You in a different time zone than I am? You're probably on Easter or something. Yeah, I can see if you're over on the East Coast or close to it. Something tells me you're mountain time. Buck the survivor. Living off grid. $3 hours, really? I wouldn't have thought. Of course, then again, how the hell would I know, right? It's not like I'm trying to identify trees out your window and locate. There's Buck. Found him. How do you know it's Buck? He's pointing a gun in my direction. Wondering why the hell we're looking at him. No. Yeah, I'm in Cali. I'll tell you what, though. I was born here, okay, so it wasn't my choice to be here. I can, however, tell you, the sooner I get out of here, the better. Because it's one of the reasons I tried to stay in the suburbs closer to the foothills, because I didn't want to, the suburbs of suburbs, I should say. I didn't want to be in a town, man. Like a concrete jungle. You know, it's like everyone wants to, everything you need, everything you have to get is supplied by the infrastructure that is directly around you. And the moment that stops, it is amazing to me how many people will starve because they do not know how to survive in the wild. They don't. They do not. And it is amazing to me. But that's what they want, right? Dog is going crazy. We have to figure out what's going on real quick. Is everything okay? Oh. The neighbors came out. The dog freaked out. Colt is a full, I think, full husky. He's big though. I don't think huskies get that big. You saw him from the back. That boy is thick. But my other dog, my other husky, and huskies typically don't bark. They howl. Forgive me for interrupting your music while you're driving down the road. The other one is more coyote than anything. And she'll let you know it. She doesn't like anyone coming near the house. So that's the one you hear barking. Colt will just try to bark and then let out a scream like he fell out of his chair. It's the funniest damn thing I ever heard. You ever heard a husky scream trying to make a sound? Like he's trying to mimic the barking, but all he can do is howl. So he gets right in the middle where it sounds like somebody fell off a roof. You know? He's like, ah! That's all he can get. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's just funny. But those dogs are the best thing. I rescued them from a shelter, and people, you don't know what you're getting into when you're getting into a husky, especially if you had no experience with one. And that's why they get rid of them. And it's sad that they would just let them go, you know. But on the other side of that, they're notorious escape artists, and they will run from you. And if you let them off the leash anywhere, and you say, "Come here," they will turn around and they'll say, "No," and then they'll just keep running. So you have to be really careful, especially with Colt, because he's more of a, you let me off the leash, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Vivian, not so much, because she's more of a pack animal. On the wild side of her, she tends to stay close to Mom, actually. She stays close to my wife. And then she's very protective. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a husky, but also wanted a protected animal. And I ended up getting the best of both worlds with Vivian. And she's just a beautiful dog. She's still a little skittish, a little leery like you'd expect from a wild animal like that. But Um, besides that, she's a really, really good dog. And gentle, unless she don't like you. And you'll know it. The moment you ain't gentle, she will let you know. Ugh. How many people did I scare off? Oh, I got 2 more. What do you know? Welcome. Welcome to anybody that's new. And please subscribe to the channel. We will be working on turbine engines, building wooden ships, flying planes into the ground like they're lawn darts, and possibly even making something that works this century. But it's fun. The process is fun, and having you guys along for the ride is fun. And I know I've been doing a lot of lives where I just been doing a lot of talking about what we're doing. I said doing like way too many times, didn't I? But well, what are you gonna do? See, I said it again. I'm waiting for parts. So when those rods get here, we're gonna spin up that turbine, and we're gonna keep spinning it up over and over again. We're gonna get several test runs out of it until we get a baseline of our average thrust ratio. I will change the C rating on the batteries that I use for it, just to test the RPM. Not so much the speed, but the response time of the torque. And that'll kind of give me a baseline to kind of put this engine out there and say, okay, well, this is its capabilities. This is what it can do. This is, the average thrust, the average safe RPM operating range, so on and so forth. What materials I use to print it with, how you're supposed to print it, what infill you're supposed to use on specific parts, complete components list. I'm going to get it all out there to you. So that's why I'm trying to finish it and make a reliable motor. And if you saw any of the other spin-ups, you'll see where I hit that bottleneck on that small gear setup that I had at the front of the motor. And now that I'm switching to a rear drive, that'll give us and a more robust gear, planetary gear system. That'll give us, I think, the longevity we need for the tests. So that's a good thing, because if I get past half throttle, close to 3/4, and I can hold it till those batteries drain, and I've got no significant wear on the PETG, then I know we're good to go on the CNC version for the gearbox. But the proof will be in the pudding. So once we do a spin up, you guys will be like, I was gonna do a premiere, but I thought, nah, we'll just do it live, and hope to God that people care. So that's what we'll do. The thing I noticed is you got to get either right to the point on a short in order to get somebody's attention, either destructive, epic, or a failure, or people getting hurt or doing stupid stuff in order to get views. Or in the videos, you got to get, on the lives, you got to kind of get right to the point almost, which kind of defeats the purpose of a live, because it's about the journey to get there, not just the end result. I wish people cared more about the journey than just the end result. But people want instant gratification nowadays. It's a new world. So that's how you gotta handle it. You either gotta give them the dopamine that they're looking for, or you just gotta give up. But I'm not gonna give up, so
Oh. There you go. And we know this works, so yeah, this is definitely going to help for sure. But let me shut this off for a second. I've got switches on the side to shut everything off, turn everything on. So, but we know this works, so we are going to start using it. Especially when I'm turning down carbon fiber, it'll come in handy. Because I've got a bit for that, so that'll be fun. I think it'll be a perfect addition to what I'm working on. It'll definitely help out for sure. Oh, I found a couple of things too. Let me show you. Anybody know anything about these? These are the old timers right here. Yeah, whoever likes knives. I don't know what that is. That's case, I think. I don't know what the brand is. I know they're oldies. Let me get my stand. I'm gonna try and open these up and see if we can't get some names off the blades. Maybe somebody out there will recognize it. If I can stop dropping stuff. All right. See if I can even get it open. Wow. Okay, there is a name on there. But give me a second. I had a brush here. But I can use this real quick. All right. Try and zoom in on that so we can kind of try and see what the name might be on there. Oh, I can't see it. Try to get a little closer. Hold on. Anybody get the name on that one? Hold on. Let me try to. I'm just gonna try and lightly clear some of the dirt off there. All right. Anybody make that out? It says Empire something. Okay. Well, that's that one. Now we got. And a broken blade. Boy, that one's been used. Okay, here we go. definitely an old one. All right, let's look at one of the other ones here. I'll get this thing open so we can take a look at it. If I can get it open. Hold on one second. Oh my gosh, that one's definitely in there. Yeah, I gotta clean that one up for sure. All right, let's see if I can't get a little bit of the dirt out of there. And we can kind of see. Maybe one of y'all all understand what I'm looking at here. All right, let's go zoom in on that one. Anybody recognize that mark? It's got another blade. We'll see if we can't get something out of it. Oh my gosh. There's probably, don't do this at home. I am definitely not making out a mark on that one. That one's rusted. Yeah. Definitely have to be de-rusted before I can take a look at it. But I almost see something. Let's take a look. Yeah, I don't think there's anything on this one I can see. All right. Well, let's take a look at this one here. This is the one I'm curious about. Anybody recognize that mark? Let's try and get it open. Open pretty easy. Okay. Okay, here we go. A case XX. Still has a lot of the blade on it. Looks like it's in decent shape. And still opens pretty good. I don't know about this other side yet, though. May have to spray these. Okay, yeah. I'll have to spray that one to get the rest of it open. But it's a good looking one. And of course we got this one. And it's always a shame when you find a chip in the casing. This is definitely a bigger one. Tip's gone on one of the blade. Oh no, that's the screwdriver, sorry. So this is like a Swiss Army knife. Oh, look at this. Hold on. The blade's loose, so I gotta hold it. All right, that one I think says just made in the U.S. Yeah, made in USA. but it doesn't show the manufacturer. Well, I mean, obviously, USA, but just an older style, kind of a belt loop keychain kind of knife, like a Swiss Army from the old Swiss Army knives. Wow. Has been used a bit. Yep, definitely older. But those are some good finds. There. You're like, you got a collection of parts everywhere. Like, Wally, Speedy B, old knife. None of my organization makes any sense whatsoever. But with everything that I am doing, it has definitely been an adventure trying to keep things organized, I'll tell you that. So, give me 1 second, and then I'll return. See how the flies came back? I can get 2 right here. Didn't want to hit the model. Man. Yeah, sometimes I just like getting online talking to you guys. I'm glad it's somewhat entertaining for you. Because it's going to get a lot more entertaining when my parts come in for the stuff that I need. Should be any day now. Usually when you order something like that, like some carbon fiber rods, and they say it'll be there between like the 13th and the 22nd, like the day you order it, and then, or in my case, it would have been the 10th. And the 22nd. It usually means that they ship, but it gets here pretty quick because for whatever reason. So 2-3 days it'll be in the mailbox. It won't be delivered directly by Amazon because it's not coming from Amazon's warehouse. So sometimes you gotta wait. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure they fit snugly in the bearings. If they're a little too big, I'm gonna chuck them in the drill. And then like I use the band sander like I told you. And use just steady pressure to kind of bring that carbon fiber rod down until it fits perfectly in the bearing drill. Because the ID on the bearings for the planetaries, the inner diameter was stated to be 5 millimeters, but I'm measuring it at 4.89 to 4.91. So, depending on how the 5 millimeter carbon fiber rods measure, I'm kind of hoping they come in under 2, so it's not so much work. I'm still going to have to take about 1/10 of a millimeter off, which doesn't seem like a lot, but unless you've tried to actually take that much off of carbon fiber, you don't know that it's a long process, even if it's for a little bit, because you want a smooth finish. Mine necessarily doesn't have to be totally smooth. It can be press fit because that rod's not going to turn. It's just a bearing that's going to turn the planetary. So it's more of an axle that doesn't need to move. It just needs to hold the inside of those bearings tight enough. So it can be a little tighter. It doesn't have to spin inside of it. So, matter of fact, you really don't want it to, or you just lose the whole idea behind having the bearing in the first place. So,
as long as the press fits, we're good to go. Cutting it's always been the issue for me because I don't have anything to cut carbon fiber like straight. So what I did was basically leave the top of the collet that holds the rods. The top is open for the purpose of, like, if I cut one a half a mil too long, I can just kind of tap it back through until everything's level at the bottom of the planetary gear. And then I can put that ring in, or the stopper at the bottom of the planetary gear, and then I can tap it until that rod stops going back down. And even if it's just like half a millimeter or more over the top of the collet, as long as it doesn't interfere with the motor itself or run into the mount, then I don't have to worry about it being a little bit longer. So that's another reason why I did it that way. You find yourself compensating for either tools you don't have by designing the compensation that you need into the part and then printing it out. You're like, okay, cool. I can't cut this to a specific exact length without some kind of error, just because of the tooling that I have. So I'll just design the part to accept that, and I can still get a snug, precise fit. So that's what we're doing. That's all we're doing. Just waiting. But you guys will be the first to know for sure, because the spin up is basically after I get the rods fitted. Plain and simple. But it'll be on live. So after I get the rods cut and then finished, it's just going to be a matter of me basically assembling all the parts for you guys, running a couple screws in to keep everything down, strapping the motor down to the rig, and then chaining it up, and then getting the electrical plugged in. So I'll do that on a live, so you see the process of how I hook everything up, and then and how I put the main components together of the fan, and then we'll spin up and we'll cross our fingers for at least 3/4 RPM for extended period. So that's the main goal. So when those rods come in, I get everything done. I'll make sure the batteries are topped off, and then we'll get started. I'll try and put out a short or a post to notify everyone that there is going to be a spin up at a specific time, and that'll give me the opportunity to let you guys know ahead of time so people can be there, and maybe people who haven't seen it yet will drop in because they saw the notification or they see the post or whatever, and I'll get some more subscribers out of the deal, and work on them watch hours. But yeah, it's gonna be an exciting time for that one, because this is sort of a culmination of a lot of testing, and I'm excited to see what she'll do. And then we start building the drone. Get 3 more motors, 3 more ESCs, 3 more BECs, a lot more filament, 3 more bearings, 6 more batteries. So yeah, Strike XL will take a little bit to build, but I have the power distribution board for it, and I have the flight controller for it. So, and I have a TX16S that I'm running ELRS 2.4 gigahertz, and that will. So I have all the control for it and everything like that. I just have to get it together and then program it in iNav. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'll have to use the laptop for that because I'm not bringing that into my, where my desk is, and it'd be too hard to put in there. So I need to be able to sit next to it and hook up iNav through the USB, and then start programming all the motors and the gyro filters and setting the angle modes, setting the emergency modes, that kind of thing, just to make sure that if I lose signal or if something happens, it just slowly lands where it is or comes back to home and lands. I do have GPS, so I plan on using that. And then once we get her built, we're going to take her out to the field and we're going to test fly the Shrike XL using 4 170 millimeter fans. So it'll remind you of that Shrike V10 Maiden on that video, just bigger, a lot bigger. So with that being said, it's about time for my dinner. So what we're gonna do,
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. All the parts. One of my next projects is going to be this one. Tricopter, pusher motor, all EDFs. We got the turbo fan for the Cutlass Black. We've got stubby fan for the Drone XL or the Shrike XL and any plane you'd like to put it into. Cutlass Black mold started. We got a lot to do. Rubber plane. We have a lot to do. We've got the Sally over there, just sitting on a bench, waiting for wires and ESC. We're getting there. Step by step, we are getting what we need. Now I just need a pocket NC CNC machine. And I'll be able to go full metal. All right, everybody, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to go eat something and relax for a little bit. And then I'll be back. Be looking for that short. Be looking for that notification for the live coming up. Or be looking for a post, because I'm gonna try and make sure that everyone is adequately notified before I go live. Because it's going to be awesome. So until then, thank you all for stopping by. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate the support. Love you all. And I will see you again soon.